Alrighty, so today we are going to finish the review of match week number 14, looking at these last six games to finish off not only the Saturday night action, but like I said, in terms of match week number 14. And we start off with the first game between Columbus versus the Chicago Fire. So, yeah, coming into this game, they mentioned that Wilfred Nancy has not only been unbeaten against the Chicago Fire, but he's won every single match against the Chicago Fire. And that continues after this game as Columbus have now won back-to-back road games with a 3-1 win against the Flyers. Now, early on, yeah, not much really happened. 22 minutes in, there was only one shot apiece for both of these teams. Jimenez would then head it high from the corner before Rossi would get the opening goal for the Crew. And really, this was kind of the first real attack the Crew has, and they put it into the back of net. So definitely efficient there for Will Fernandes' side, and also Diego Rossi on the score sheet again. What a difference it makes when he finally is allowed to score in league play, and that don't be surprising going to score a couple more goals for this Crew team for the rest of the season. But yeah, that gave Columbus a 1-0 lead. Kuipers did look to respond, but he hits one right to Schulte, and we do head to halftime with Columbus leading 1-0. In the second half, Zawadzki would puts it over from close range before a kite burst would hits one right to Schulte. But then in the 55th minute, Ramirez would score as he scored here from Farsi and Rossi to make it 2-0 in favor of Columbus. That sounds like a very good combination there. Farsi and Rossi, that is. But yeah, that made it 2-0. And I say it's a good combination because it's kind of a bit of a twister there. But that being said, in the 60th minute, Shihos would look to respond, but it was clear off the line there as I thought the Fire was pushing back to get one back. Brady would then deny Russell Rowe as he was in on go, and then Tom Barlow is in on go here. So you know what happened when Tom Barlow goes in on go. He's probably going to miss it. And not surprisingly, he missed that one wide. And then Schulte would absolutely rob Kutsias on a point-blank effort after the Crew just didn't clear their lines when the ball was delivering from a corner. And unfortunately, they didn't learn that lesson in the next ensuing corner because in the next ensuing corner, they didn't clear their lines again, and they were punished. And it's Tiran, the one that scored from Kutsias to give some life for the Fire. And you're thinking, maybe the Chicago Fire can. Nope. 2 minutes later, Russell Rowe makes sure this game is done for the Crew and make sure the Crew gets their second consecutive win as he scored here from Amundsen to make it 3-1 in favor of the Crew, and that would be the final score. As Columbus gets a 3-1 win, they went back to back road games in these last couple of games with that 3-1 win. And the shots in this one, 9 shots for the 13 that Chicago has. Both teams had 5 shots on goal. 4 shots off target for the 1 that Columbus had. 3 shots off blocked for the 4 that the Fire has. And possession-wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession the Chicago Fire has in this game. So far for Wilfred Nancy in this crucial road stretch, they definitely have played relatively well. Now, albeit it has been against some easy team. I mean, when they face against a team like the Chicago Fire that is pretty much like a dumpster fire right now, and then also facing against a Montreal team that is definitely not playing very well and are injured to hell as a result of that. Yeah, obviously they you would expect Columbus to get 3 points, especially with the quality that they have. But that being said, road games are not easy, and Columbus has had their problems on the road, even going back last year with Nancy side. It seems like it's getting better, and this Crew team is slowly starting to creep themselves up in the standings, and that's not great news for the rest of the Eastern Conference because again, I think this team is going to make it to the playoffs. I know, obviously people talk about the CONCACAF Champions Cup string. They only have one more game left to play, and it'll be interesting to see that after that game against Pachuca, whether they win or lose, what their effect is going to be. But so far, they're definitely playing well, and they're definitely making up some grounds after them losing some grounds because of the CC commitment that they have to do along with MLS. But that being said, moving on in the next match, and also by the way for the Fire, yeah, there's a reason why I call them the dumpster fire. I know that's kind of disrespectful for Fire fans, but yeah, things are not looking good so far for the Chicago Fire. But like I said, moving on in the next match, we got Houston versus FC Dallas. So for a while, it feels like, the Texas Derby always ends in a 1-1 scoreline, and this was one of them. But I would say that this was a pretty entertaining game. There were definitely chances for both of these teams, though I'm pretty sure Dynamo fans will feel like they probably should have got 3 points in this game, consider the chance that they had, especially in the first half. But the first shot of the game did see Dallas get the first opportunity to score as Clark denied Kamungo from close range. Herrera was in on goal there, and he was trying to round the keeper, but yeah, Martin Paz, he was having none of it. He was able to smother that one away, and then he denied Dorsey from long range in the 14th minute, as I thought the Dynamo started to control this game. They were creating chances, were pushing for the opener. Arturo would then hits one right to Paz before he does it again just 19 minutes later. Then Sevchenko would miss just wide on the header, and again, the Dynamo, they were forcing the issue, but problem is, can they feel that clinical finishing to have the sustained pressure that they have ever since the 8th minute paid off? Well, Herrera tried to do so, but he hits one right to Paz before Paz would deny Karaskia from long range in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. And just as we thought that maybe Dallas survived this storm that Houston has been putting on them since the 8th minute, the Dynamo finally got that pressure paid off with a goal. As Armin Bassi, he doesn't get on the score sheet in open play very often, but he does hear from Steris and Herrera to give the Dynamo a 1-0 lead. I wrote that's Benjamin. I mean, that's sustained pressure for the Dynamo. It was about time for them to finally get the lead. And while I thought it wasn't going to happen as the time winds down in stoppage time in the first half, they got it, and they head to halftime with a 1-0 lead. Now in the second half, I thought they continued to control the game early. Sevchenko would hit it right to Paz before Ferreira would completely fluff his lines from 10 yards out. Yeah, that's one that Jesus Ferreira would like to have back. Also, I forgot to get myself a water here because, as you know, and definitely hydrate it as we go through this review. LU then hits it right to Paz in the near post, or actually no, not in the near post. I'm sorry, but he was in on goal there for Clark would deny Ibiaga from close range, and all of a sudden it started to become a bit of back and forth. I mean, game definitely started to even up a little bit. Question is who can get that next goal, and it's FC Dallas the one that gets the next goal as Peter Musa started to heat up a little bit here, scoring in goals in the last couple of games. He scored here from Kamungo and Ferreira to tie the game up at one apiece. Musa then looked for another in the 80th minute, but he puts it wide from close range as the momentum was started to be with Dallas. They were looking to steal this one in Houston because again, up to this point, I would say that even though the game evened up, I feel like Houston was still the better team considering all the pressure that they had in the first half. Though that being said, Aliu would have a shot that was deflected and goes wide, and then Bossy looked to try to score his second and try to win the Texas Derby, but he hits it just wide as the Dynamo was pushing late for the winner. They don't get it. As in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw on this one, and in a game where the Dynamo really need to win in terms of getting themselves back in the contention for Copa Tias. That doesn't happen. And the shots in this one, 18 shots for the 7 that Dallas had, 3 shots on goal for the 8 that Dynamo has, 4 shots off target for the 3 that Houston had, 6 shots that was blocked for the none that Dallas had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Dallas has in this game. So, yeah, very frustrating result for the Houston Dynamo. And again, this is what happened when you don't put away your chances and don't capitalize your opportunity sooner because yeah, when you leave a 1-0 game and especially when the opposition started to come back into this game, that's exactly what happened. And for Dallas, I think they'll take it. I mean, yes, they still are not playing relatively well, but they'll definitely take a point and definitely will help their causes in the Copa TR standings because between them and Austin, they're definitely fighting for that Copa TR trophy this season once again. Now, moving on in terms of the next match, I swear to God, I really hope that I'm not going to see too much of these kind of games from Minnesota United because I swear, after the Atlanta game, I was just kind of sweating bullets near the end of the game and almost had a heart attack because of the amount of times that Minnesota trying to throw the game away. And they did it again here in this game against Portland. I mean, I get that, there's that narrative that it's not a Minnesota United game if it wasn't for unnecessary drama late in the game and them just kind of holding on for dear life. But that doesn't mean I enjoyed it whatsoever in this game against the Portland Timbers. Now, in the first half, Pookie would hit one right to Crepeau. By the way, Eric Ramsey definitely took a bit of a gamble in this game. He put a relatively reserve squad in this one. That's kind of interesting considering that, I know this is the second game in 3 days for Minnesota United. But keep in mind, they were the only team in the league to not have to play 3 games in 7 days coming in to this match. Well, actually, for some team, they also had that luxury as well. I forgot that there was actually a couple of teams that didn't play in the middle of the week, but still, yeah, it was kind of interesting to see Eric Ramsey decide to rotate, even though they don't really need to it, and especially the last game that they had against the Galaxy was at home, and I can confirm that is the case because I went to that game. But in the ninth minute, Fragapani would hit one right to Crepeau before I thought the high press really was effective. That was kind of the case in the first half against the Galaxy, where I thought the high press was definitely effective. The Loons were winning the ball back, and the Timbers just keep turning the ball over and just keep playing into that high press that the Loons were putting in. Pookie would then pulls it wide from close range before in the 17th minute, really completely against the run of play. Capacito Rodriguez, he scored from Iola to give the Timbers a 1-0 lead. That was the first shot of the game for the Portland Timbers, and also just completely against the run and play. And this, again, just another example of what happened when Minnesota don't take advantage of their chances. There were times in this game where I might have said some explicit words about the amount of missed chances this team has had, and also especially said some explicit words in terms of some of the referee decision that was being made, because this is the second consecutive match week where I see my team getting screwed over by referee decision against the Portland Timbers, and we'll definitely get to talk about why that is the case as we go along. Tapias then looked for an answer, but he puts it wide in the 22nd minute, and then there was the huge shout for a penalty, and this is the controversial moment as it looked like Lomwane was brought down in the box by Mosquera, and he was. I mean, when you look on the replay, yes, I know Timbers fan will argue, and maybe even some neutral fans will argue that maybe Longwane did look like he went down on the ground before the contact. But still, I do think that Mosquera, with the amount of contact he put on Longwane, that's definitely worth of a penalty. But it wasn't. And again, they didn't go to VAR for this, so that immediately triggered me some PTSD and my anger in terms of what happened on Wednesday between the Quakes and the Portland Timbers. Keep in mind, up to this point, I don't really have too much beef with the Portland Timbers. After these 2 games, I've seen both of my team play against the Timbers. I maybe have some beef with the Portland Timbers. No, I will say that I'm at least happy that in the end Minnesota was able to pull out this win, unlike the Quakes. That didn't quite happen because of some very questionable refereeing decision. So that being said, in the 38th minute, oh, by the way, the ref was then told he sucked because, yeah, I mean, obviously Minnesota fans were not happy about that call. Dane Sinclair would then deny Mosquera from close range as, again, I thought Minnesota had no answer in terms of the Timbers transition. It seems like the Timbers were going with a bit of their bread and butter. They always are a good team in terms of playing that transitional play, and Minnesota just really had no answer in terms of it. In fact, Capacito Rodriguez was in on goal here, but somehow, in some way, Dane Sinclair denied him with his head. I don't care what you say. That is the save of the week, if there is an award for that. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a goalkeeper, well, not at least recently, that would come off his line 40 yards out and somehow was able to make a save with his heads. Because obviously you can't make a save with your hand because you're way off your line there. So yeah, that was definitely a gutsy moment there for Dane Sinclair, and I'm pretty sure that I'm really hoping that's the last time I see that happen, because that not only is very unorthodox, but very lucky for the Loons to not go down 2-0, because again they got caught on the transitional play. Again, very similar to what we saw in the game against the Galaxy, where these last 2 games the Loons have not done very well defending these transitional play, and especially these quick outlet play, and maybe that's going to be something that I think teams are going to try and exploit this team moving forward. But we do head to halftime with the Timbers leading 1-0 in the second half. Clark would flash one wide from close range. I thought Caden Clark had a good game in this one. I mean, I know it's been a bit of a rough season for Caden Clark. He hasn't really lived up to the to what we thought that he could be, but I thought he played well in this game. And then the post would deny Mora and Portland's second goal. Once again, that came not really on a quick transition, but more like a quick outlet ball that again the Loons just they don't have an answer in terms of dealing with that. On the other end, Longwane would hit one right to Craig Poe, as I thought there was a bit of a line change around the 56th minute. I think Ramsey probably saw enough and started to put some of his starters in this game, as four changes was being made in this game, and one of those players that was part of that four changes was Robin Lund, and he immediately paid his manager uh the due after coming on the pitch, because in the 64th minute he scored here. He scored from Rosales to make it 1-1 in this game. How about Josef Rosales? I mean, if he can continue to play like this for the rest of the season and maybe even for these next couple of years, I have a feeling he's gonna get sold because of how good he's been. And for a guy that is a left back, I mean, I did not expect that he would make an instant impact. And he's not like Kai Wagner, which is a guy that is very good in terms of delivering those ball into the box. Well, to be fair, he is when it comes to set piece opportunity, but he can also be a playmaker too. Which again, that's the beauty of Eric Ramsey's system. It's a system that it might be a free at the back kind of system, but it kind of evolve as the game goes along, and different player could find themselves in different position that you don't expect them to be, and that kind of also confuse opposition and opposition manager too, because I'm pretty sure not a lot of manager were expecting a left back being a central attacking midfielder all the sudden. But that being said, that goal from Robin Lod also a bit of a milestone for him too, because with that goal, he became the all-time goal scorer of Minnesota United. He passed Reynoso with that goal. Reynoso was in the stands for this one, and yeah, I'm not sure he's that happy. The fact that he got passed because of it, and I won't be surprised Lud would not would have hold of that record, because yeah, Reynoso, I don't think he's gonna be playing for this team anytime soon. Arriaga then hits it over on the free kick before there was no penalty that was given to Minnesota, as VAR deemed that there was a foul on development of play, and I think this was Pookie, the one that basically commits the foul before he was chopped down in the box by Mascara. It is the right call, but it once again gives me back PTSD of the game between the Quakes and the Timbers, of how my team gets screwed over by one call, and then the other team gets the call right. And again, the inconsistency is a real issue in terms of refereeing. I've said it so many times, and I'm gonna continue to say it, and it's gonna continue to frustrate me and pretty much all the fans of their of these MLS, or all the MLS team fan base, in terms of some of the bad job that Pro basically has done. So that being said, though, in the 82nd minute, Minnesota would take the lead anyway, as Sun Bin. Oh boy, did he need it that one, and what a difference it makes when Sun Bin actually starts shooting. I mean, that's been one of the biggest criticism I have with Sun Bin this season. He's not been really active when it comes to shooting the ball, and in this way, what a difference it made. He shoot here, and he scored from Taylor and Lud, and also a great team goal too, that I thought Minnesota built up. So they made it 2-1. I mean, it could have been 3-1 if the post didn't deny Olo Estradi from close range, as the Loons were looking to put this game away. However, in the first man stoppage time, Tapias unfortunately would get his second yellow card, and this is where I wrote, oh boy, it is time to hold your breath, because there's still 8 minutes of stoppage time in this game, and this is where, again, that narrative comes alive again, where it's not only Rohith Mo that this Minnesota team started to go in late in stoppage time, but just they cannot not make it easy for them. They have to make it get incredibly difficult for no reason whatsoever. And it started in the 6th minute when Dane Sinclair denied Williamson from close range before Anthony had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. And then Dane Sinclair denied Fugaza from close range. Final whistle couldn't come soon for these Loons fans. I mean, up to this point, I don't think I was breathing up to this point, because of the way that it was just wave after wave pressure that Portland was putting in. And then 11 minutes stoppage time, Dane Sinclair would deny Fugaza from close range in this game. And yeah, in the end, Minnesota, they were able to hold on to win this game, despite the fact that Portland really threw the kitchen sink late in this one. And the shots in this one, 20 shots committed, 11 that the Timbers had. Most of those shots came late in this one. And the same goes for shots on goal. 5 shots on goal compared to 6 that Minnesota has. Although I swear Minnesota, or not Minnesota, but Portland have probably got more shots on goal, especially the onslaught that they put late in this game. 6 shots off target compared to none that the Timbers had. 5 shots that was blocked for the 7 that Minnesota has. And possession-wise, 55% possession, 45% possession the Timbers has in this game. Ugly win for Minnesota in this one. But honestly, you know what? I don't care. I guess in for a team that has really struggled to win at home last season, especially these are kind of the resort that I think if this was under Adrian Heath last season, they would have absolutely dropped points or even lose last season because of it. But credit the resilience that Eric Ramsey has put to this team, and also credit the fact that Dane Sinclair just single-handedly uh, making sure Minnesota get all 3 points of this game, and most importantly, they keep pace with RSL in terms of the top standing in the Western Conference in this game. But for the Portland Timbers, I mean, I don't think it was a bad game for the Timbers up to the part that yes, their defense once again struggled in this game, but they did push late. They did try their best to get themselves a point in this game. It's just not meant to be in this one, unlike the last game that they had against the Quakes in a very controversial fashion. Now, moving on in terms of the next match, and speaking of RSL. So they're still at the top of the Western Conference after a thrilling 5-3 win against the Colorado Rapids. And I gotta say, this is probably the best Rocky Mountain Cup game I have seen in this rivalry in the last couple of games. And I would argue this probably is the game of the year that we saw because it was fireworks from the beginning in this one. It started with Navarro hits one right to McMath before, in the 5th minute, Bassett would put the ball into the back of the net to give the Rapids a 1-0 lead, and yeah, this was just a terrible giveaway there in the midfield, but also just, I don't know what was Zach McMath doing coming off his lines. I mean, I get that he played this ball off his lines there, but when you decide to do that, you shouldn't just stay off his lines there, because if your defense just give the ball away like that, there's a chance where you can basically be caught in no man's land, and that's exactly what happened in that play. But the Rapids wouldn't care. They take advantage and they lead 1-0 early in this game. 11 minutes in, Orongo looked to answer, but he puts it over before Gomez would hit one right to Stefan. As I thought it was a nice response from RSL as they were looking to get the equalizer. But in the 19th minute, Colorado doubled their lead, and it's Navarro that scores again here. Again, when you know that Navarro is having a great bounce back season and just having a breakout year when he can score goals like that. You do not see Rafael Navarro with these kind of goals for the Colorado Rapids last season, and that kind of also sums up why the Rapids have definitely scoring more goals in these last couple of games, because there's been a lot of question of who exactly is that guy that scores the goal, especially for the number 9 spot. Well, right now it seems like it's Rafael Navarro because he's definitely worth every penny of the DP tag with the tear that he's been going on the goal scoring form ever since he kind of break that duck in terms of scoring an open play goal against the Quakes in the beginning of the season. But that being said, that 2-0 lead didn't last long because in the 23rd minute, it's inevitable. Pico Rongo has to get on the score sheet. He scored here to make it 2-1 in favor of Colorado. Poor set piece defense. Or not poor set piece defending, but just poor defending here from the Rapids. And Zach Steffen, again, just gave up a juicy rebound. He created a bit of a chaos in the box, which Orongo took advantage of it. And then Orongo was looking for another one, but he puts it wide from close, and now all of a sudden the momentum was back with RSL. They were pressing once again for the equalizer. The momentum was basically like a pendulum in this game. It was swinging back and forth in this game. And in the 40th minute, RSL ties the game up as Gomez, another guy that's been red hot lately, he scored from Luna to tie the game up at 2 apiece. Navarro on the other end were looking to retake the lead for the Rapids, but he missed wide there. But we do head to halftime with the score line being 2 apiece for both of these teams, and I just had a sense that yeah, we're not done in terms of the goal scoring in this game, and it wasn't, because 55 minutes in, the Rapids retake the lead. It's Mihajlovic, the one that retakes the lead for the Rapids, and yeah, McMath, he made a great save here to rob Mihajlovic and Fernandez, but very unlucky the fact that on the third attempt, Mihajlovic was able to get there. By the way, defense in this game, yeah, it was a bit optional at time in this one. There were a time where defense pretty much were basically put aside because of how explosive the attack was for both of these teams. Stefan then denied Luna from 18 yards out before he denied an alley from close. Gomez would then pulls it wide after just a WTF turnover from Colorado. So yeah, that's one that Carlos Gomez would love to have back because he was in on goal here. Good news for Gomez is the fact that he did find the ball in the back of the net in this one. In fact, both Gomez and Arango could have had a hat trick in this game, but they were just being a little bit more clinical despite the two goals that they scored in this one. But that being said, like I said, RSL, they were not going away. They were now pressing back once again for the equalizer, and Colorado again, they looked like they were on the ropes a little bit, almost holding on. And in this kind of a game, yeah, that's not great news whatsoever. Palacio then puts it over from close range before Gomez missed wide on the header in the 72nd minute. Then on the other end, McMath denied Bassett from long range, and then Bassett would put it over from long range. And again, this game had it all. So far, the momentum, just as you thought RSL maybe has the chance to tie the game up. Here comes Colorado and their chance to put this game away. But instead, RSL would score in the 85th minute. And guess who? It's Chicho Arango. He scored here to tie the game up at 3 apiece in this one. Originally, Anelli actually struck the post here, but once again, defense seems like they don't really care whenever the ball recycle play because yeah, Rongo was the first one to react to that. That ties the game up at 3 apiece. And just to make it even more crazy and some MLS After Dark kind of stuff in this game, Gomez would score in the 88th minute to take the lead for RSL as he scored from Arango to make it 4-3, and the riot just completely gone bonkers. Like that was probably the loudest I've heard the riot in a long time, and I have heard the riot a lot, but you can see those RSL fans, they were going bonkers that their net team takes the lead, and they put the icing on the cake in the 6 minute stoppage time as Anderson Julio would join the goal scoring party. He scored from Palacio to make it 5-3 in this game, and that is the final score of the game. Man, what a game this is. I would not be surprised. We're gonna see this matchup in the playoffs. And honestly, the Rocky Mountain Cup. It's been a long time since I've seen these kind of matchup, and especially with both of these teams being so good. And I feel like I can't wait to see the next kind of matchup because the first matchup was also pretty good with the Rapids kind of stealing one in the first matchup at the Riot, but RSL decided that yeah they want they didn't forget about that game and they get their revenge in this one. And the stats pretty much just showed you how crazy this game was. There was 20 shots compared to 15 that the Rapids had. There were 10 shots on goal for both of these teams. So there was a combined of 20 shots on goal in this game. There's a couple of these games where we didn't even get 20 shots combined for both of these teams. It was just ridiculous how both of these attack was, and also both of these goalkeeper. Even though some of these goalkeeper conceded some of these goals, I mean, it kind of doesn't help when the fact that the defense again was optional at times in this one. 7 shots off target for the free that the Rapids had. 1 shot that was blocked for the free that RSL had. Possession wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession the Rapids has in this game. Give me more of this game. Give me more of this Rocky Mountain Cup. I cannot wait until the third and final matchup of this, and it's gonna be all a rubber match too, because now both of these teams have won the first two matchup in the Rocky Mountain Cup. Something tells me that it's gonna be explosive again. Once this matchup does go to Colorado and does play at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, because at least from what we see in the first two games, especially in this one, I mean, again, this is easily, I think, probably the game of the season, and probably the best game I've seen in league played this year. With that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the next two game or the last two games to finish up the review of match week number 14. So moving on, we got the Quakes and Orlando City. So after with a very controversial and gut-wrenching loss that the Quakes suffer against the Timbers, I've said that coming into this game, it's kind of a bit of a must-win for them to not lose that momentum. And guess what they did in the most typical Quakes fashion? They lay an egg in this game against Orlando City. Now, in the first half, Lopez would put it high from long range, and that would also be the only shots, as it was a pretty boring first 20 minutes in this game. In fact, things kind of got worse for Orlando City when McGuire had to be subbed off after a shoulder injury. Jack Lynn basically replaced him there, and we'll see how much how bad the injury is going to be, and especially with the way that the transfer window is going to be coming soon. This is definitely not a great time for Duncan McGuire to get himself injured, and this is kind of starting to be like Daryl DK kind of vibe once again. for him and this Orlando City side. So that being said, in the 21st minute, Costa would heads it wide from close range before Galese would deny Guerrero from close. Lopez would then hit one right to Galese as I thought the Quakes were starting getting some chances, but most of these chances were low percentage effort. I mean, besides maybe the one where Galese was able to make a save there for Guerrero. Or actually, no, besides the fact that when Galese did deny Rodriguez from close, and that was actually a really good chance for the Quakes. Most of these chances was pretty easy for Galese to deal with. In fact, the shots were 6-1 for the Quakes 30 minutes into this game. So the 35th minute, for Holson would puts it wide from long range before on the other end, Rodriguez puts it wide from close. Ladero would then puts it over from long range before Lynn would puts it wide from close, as I thought Orlando's going to get some late sustained pressure trying to take the lead before halftime. But we do head to halftime with Orlando and the Quakes tie up at 0-0. In the second half, just like the first half, not much really happened early in the second half, for Holson would then puts it just wide from close range in the 59th minute. And then on the other end, Espinoza puts it wide from long range. Yarbrough would then deny Moriel from close before Moriel puts it over from long range. And now all of a sudden, Orlando started to get some chances again. And I really think in the second half, they started to play much better compared to the first, where, yeah, in the first half, it was pretty clear that they did not start on time in this game. But that being said, as I said that, the Quakes started to press back. Costa would puts it wide from close before Yarbrough would absolutely rob Lynn from close range there. That was probably the best opportunity for both of these teams up to this point. Espinoza then fires it wide after just a lightning counter attack for the Quakes. And again, the game for opening things up, it was definitely up for grabs. The question is, who can show that clinical finishing? Well, Jack Scan tried to do so, but he was denied by Galese in the 87 minutes. So Galese had a really good game in this one. And the same thing said about William Yarbrough, but unfortunately, he did concede in the 88th minute. As in the 88th minute, the deadlock finally was broken. It's Jack Lynn scoring from Ojeda and Angulo here to give Orlando a 1-0 lead. It came off a great counterattack from Orlando City, and maybe a little fortunate too, because Ojeda kind of whiffs the shot here, and that might have just kind of fooled the Quakes the fans a little bit, especially for Jackson Senor. I think he was completely fooled by Ojeda when he whiffed that shot. But yeah, Jack Lynn basically found himself some space, and yeah, that's not great defending there from the Quakes. And this is not a big surprise because this has been a problem for the Quakes throughout the season. They rarely keep a clean sheet, and I just had a feeling that that wasn't gonna happen even in this game as well. And yeah, in the end, Orlando, they get all 3 points in this one, and I gotta say, Orlando right now, the only reason why they're still kind of in contention right now, and they're actually not that far from below the red line. I think they're currently sitting in 10th place right now, just below the red line. Really, the only reason why they're keeping themselves in playoff contention is their roll form. The roll form has been very good this season. They're kind of like almost like Minnesota last season, where last season Minnesota was kind of in contention, at least somewhat, because of their fact that their roll form was like the best in the league, but their home form was just absolutely god awful. And this season, I mean, when Orlando play at Toronto Stadium, they've only won one game so far this season, and they have not done well whatsoever at home whatsoever. And mind you, that win that they had was back in the first game of the season at home. So they have not won a single home game ever since that. But I'm pretty sure Orlando fans would take it, and you could maybe even say it's kind of like an Oscar for masterclass with the way that it seems like for a while they always win 1-0 on the road, and they kind of snatch it late in this one. But for the Quakes, I'm very concerned about a potential downfall that this team is gonna go through, because this is a game that they need a bounce back performance. They absolutely need to win this after just such a heartbreaking loss that they suffer against the Timbers in a very controversial fashion. And now I'm just worried that this is where things start to fall apart again, and that this team could go for a bit of a winless run. And this is where question is going to once again start to be asked with this team, especially with Luchi Gonzalez. Now, moving on into the last game on this board is Seattle and the Vancouver Whitecaps. So Seattle was this close of getting a big win in this one, but the Whitecaps, they were able to squeak it out late in this game. Though early on, it was actually a good start for the Sounders. In fact, what's kind of interesting about this game ending 1-1 is that we saw a goal early in this game, and then we saw a goal late in this one. Very often that usually is the case, but in the ninth minute, Gordon Morris, I think this is his first goal of the season. I don't know if he scored earlier this season as well. That's why I didn't put first goal of the season. But man, does he need this one? It's been a rough season for Jordan Morris, and really just a rough season for the Sounders on the attacking end. And actually, it was originally a great save there from Takuoka. On Vargas' shot, but unfortunately just fall right to Morris there. And even though Morris has not really been clinical in terms of finishing, you knew he wasn't gonna miss that. And yeah, that gives the Sounders a 1-0 lead. Though on the other end, Fry denied White, but the Whitecaps get a second effort, and it's all Laborda, the center back, hits it right to Fry. Shoop would also do the same thing. He puts it right to Fry in the 19th minute, and I thought it was a good response for the Whitecaps. They were now looking to press for the equalizer. Though that being said, we then go for a period where not much really happened in this game. Fafa Pico tried the tie for the Whitecaps, but he puts it wide from the header, and we do head to halftime with the Sounders leading 1-0. In the second half, not much happened early as both of these teams continued to really struggle in terms of creating some real good chances. Yamar would then puts it over from long range before Fry denied Berhalter from long range. Morris would then puts it wide from close, and then De La Vega, who of course finally came back from injury. So there was a lot of talks of when exactly is Pedro De La Vega finally coming back after suffering the injuries that he suffered earlier this season. The good news is he's finally back, and this is definitely great news for the Sounders because even though he came off the bench in this game and only played 12 minutes, you could argue he was the most dangerous player for the Sounders team compared to all the games that they missed De La Vega throughout the season. In fact, he hit the woodwork on a looping header just 4 minutes coming into this game. Seattle was definitely looking to try to put this away. Now, the fact that this is actually the first time they had all three of their DP on the field for the first time this season. But then in the fourth minute stoppage time, this is when it kind of end in a downfall as a penalty was given to Vancouver as VAR team that knew who handballed this ball in the box after he was trying to block the shot, but the ball hit his hand there, and who already got a yellow card because of that. So yeah, he was gonna get his second yellow card and was being sent off in this game, and that basically allowed Ryan Gall a chance to bury it to tie the game up at one apiece, and he does exactly that. So it was tied up at one apiece. And keep in mind, even though there was only 4 minutes stoppage time, we're gonna play a couple more minutes because of the VAR replay. So yeah, as we wind down to the last couple of minutes, the Sounders actually were the one that had the best chance because of it. In fact, once again, the post denied De La Vega in the near post in the 8th minute stoppage time. I gotta say, if De La Vega came off the bench even a little bit earlier in this one, Sounders probably could have had a chance to get all 3 points in this game. But instead, they get a draw out of this one, and the shots in this one, 13 shots for the 8 that the Whitecaps had, 5 shots on goal for the 2 that the Sounders had, 1 shots off target compared to 2 that the Sounders had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 2 that the Whitecaps had, and possession-wise, 53% possession compared to the 47% possession the Whitecaps has in this game. And yeah, for the Sounders, I mean, the bad news is obviously they gave up a late goal. It's got to be very frustrating that they were this close in terms of getting a much needed 3 points at home, and especially against. I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, I say it's still a rivalry because them and the Whitecaps. It's kind of like a forgotten Cascadia derby rivalry whenever the Whitecaps play either Seattle or the Portland Timbers, but for the Whitecaps, I think they'll definitely take a point. I mean, I know they've been going through a bit of a rough patch lately as well, but they did stop the bleeding in this game by getting a point. But also going back to Seattle, the good news is Pedro de la Vega looked like he started to get himself back to match fitness, and now it seems like there could be a chance where he could be starting again, and that is going to be a huge injection of life for this Sounders attack. I mean, it is pretty clear that they miss him badly, and we've seen in limited time, Pedro de la Vega can definitely create some magic to this team. They desperately want him to be back in the starting 11 as soon as as possible. And I think we could definitely see the reward of the Sounders attack start to get going if De La Vegas is able to really bring some life of what has really just been, for most part this season, a lifeless Sounders attack. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of me looking at the review of the remaining 6 games for match week number 14. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games and also the other 4 games on the other board. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.